Hello. I'm at Houston Airport and I'm waiting for my flight to Mexico City. I took a midnight flight, got here at 5 a.m., aka took 2.5 hour flight, maybe slept for 2 hours, therefore I look like this. And I will be in Mexico City. I have a flight in like an hour and a half, about another 2 hour flight, and then I get to have a 4 hour layover there again. And then I'm out to Sao Paulo. And I will be there for 2 days, and then I will go to the Rio Grand Slam for the weekend, next weekend. My first tournament as a black belt. And I think a lot of people are wondering like what that feels like, right? And I signed up for this tournament actually not knowing whether I was going to get promoted or not, because it is brown and black belts together. I did the Grand Slam here in LA. Not here, because I'm in Texas. But you know what I mean. In my hometown in LA. And I got third in the 70 kilo division. I do the 70 kilo division. I am not 70 kilos. I normally do lightweight, which is 141, just like 64, right? 64 kilos, something like that. But you have to be 62 kilos with the gi for the UAE, JJF. And that would mean that I'd have to be like 132. And that's just not possible right now. And even when I was in Abu Dhabi, I cut down to that weight in April. And that took a couple hot baths and stuff to sweat it out. So it's just not worth it when I'm traveling and everything else. And right now it's like more of a more chill time, you know. It's like it's not the huge gi tournaments of Pans and Worlds and Europeans and all that. So by Europeans, I will be back down to lightweight and whatnot. So, you know, the biggest thing that people wonder is like, how is it entering black belt? Like, are you scared? Are you worried about what people are going to do to you, you know? Like, do you feel good being the underdog? And to be honest, like, I think I've always been kind of an underdog. That's how I've always seen it. I've never been like that person that's winning everything. I'll win some good stuff, yeah, of course. But maybe I'm not so consistent. Maybe this, maybe that, you know? I'm super human, I guess. That's how I like to consider it. But, you know, I don't get scared. What's the worst that could happen? You know, someone breaks my arm. Well, that's happened before, actually, at blue belt. And, what if I go for a takedown and I take myself down? That happened at white belt. You know, all these embarrassing, scary things that could happen at black belt have already happened to me at the lower belts. You know, purple belt, I've had girls literally jump into mount as I pull guard, and just take my back and choke me in like 30 seconds at some of the biggest tournaments in the world. And you know, when you experience those things already, you're not necessarily like prepared, but there's nothing that could surprise me at this point. And I have fought black belts so far already, like in Abu Dhabi and at the LA Grand Slam. And of course, there's some mental barriers to get over, as with every belt, every competition, you know. And it's not necessarily the belt that's around my waist or about the belt that's around their waist. It's just about being adaptable, right? Like we can produce the same situations, right? You get this amount of sleep, you eat this for breakfast, you do this amount of training, and you try to make it seem like it's the same process every time and that it's going to produce the same results every time, but it doesn't. You know, there's such thing as like you know, oh, that guy had a better day than me, which is really interesting considering like how do you describe that, right? Like you did everything in your power and then all you have to say for yourself is, wow, that guy had a better day. And like that's kind of what it comes down to sometimes. So my biggest key, you know, coming into my last year of brown belt and then now going into black belt, like I feel like being my own best friend is really important, being my biggest fan. So I try to picture myself as like a third person sometimes. Like I have another Aaron that's sitting right here and I'm like, hey, you're doing really great. You're doing really great. I speak myself up. Like I bring myself up with the way that I talk to myself. When I write things down, I actually write it in third person. Like, hey, you're doing great. Or I'm so glad you didn't, you know, text that guy 7 times. But, you know, you read it back to yourself and it's kind of like having someone else say it, you know, and for whatever reason that has more validity than if we just say it to ourselves in our heads. And so I really try to protect my mental health And that's not because I have a mental illness. That's just mental well-being. You know, just because you don't have a mental illness doesn't mean you have mental wellness. Okay, so we always need to work on that. And so I figure that if I like myself, I'll fight my best. And when you fight your best, you don't care about losing. You just care about doing your best, and then being able to have that whole, presence. Like you're there, and you're able to fight your best and give a good show, whatever that, for yourself. And and then win or lose, that you did everything. That's the biggest thing, right? It's awful to not only lose, but then feel like you didn't even show your own game or show yourself, right? So I always want to show myself in a good light, and I always want to put myself in a good light. And that's why I'm going to Rio to fight. The UAE does a really good job of exposure and really good job of putting the athlete first, and a really good production value for all their events. So I know that I'm in the right place. All the right people are there. They go to all the tournaments. They go for the ranking. So at the end of the year, if you have enough ranking points to be in first place, you get a really good chunk of money. Obviously, I'm not going for that. I didn't go to Tokyo. I only got third in LA, and that's not my goal. But my goal is to get the experience and the exposure and everything else, and just, I gotta put myself out there. So that's what black belt will be for me, just putting myself out there and just challenging myself and really just facing it head on. And that's what I've become really good at, just owning my stuff, This woman's totally gonna be pissed when she realizes she's been in my video, but that's all right. We'll give her a name. That's Susan. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about what it's going to be like for me, or what you want to know so far from my journey, just leave questions in the comments, and I'll make some more vlogs. Apparently it's really easy to do so when I'm super, super tired on 2 hours of sleep on layovers in random airports. So it's really easy to do. It's probably the best time for me to do the vlogs. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I would love to answer them. Thanks for watching.